Well, hello again. So, last week we ended up developing film at home. Now this stuff is the toxic stuff. Oh, that's so gross. So this week we're going to try to photo scan that film and turn what we developed into something we can share digitally. For me, the alternative photo scanning was a lot more appealing than investing in an Epson scanner. When I learned that the DPI of a scanner really does not compare to most modern digital cameras. What strayed me away from photo scanning originally was because I thought it was stupid to take a picture of a negative from a film camera. That was quickly deconstructed when I just realized that a flatbed scanner is a camera. So I'm going to show you a little setup that I have going here. So here I have my laptop connected, bam, to my Canon 80D, which is housed on this overhead rig that I built. And this is pointing down to my iPad with a film negative holder to keep the film negative straight. And that's the kind of whole brain of the process. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick apart the film that we developed yesterday, which is hanging right here. Bam. That is our developed, straightened, and dried film strips. And we're going to cut these film strips into pieces so that way they're easily going to flow through this film negative holder and segment everything to organize easily. Let's take one of those reels and cut them up into more manageable slices so that way we can run it through the photo scan. Okay, now that we have photo scanned our negatives, the next part in this process is taking those digital files and converting them into a positive. So let's go break that down right now. Here are some of the photo scans, right? As you can see, these are all still negatives. So we're gonna open up Lightroom Classic. This is good since we're editing in batch and we're able to go through our images a little bit faster than we would, let's say, in Photoshop. All right, so here we have one of our negative scans. And as you can see, everything is inverted. So the first thing that I did is I took my white balance selector and I sampled the border of our negative. So this will put us in a different color space. And then I crop the image so that way I'm more so focused on the image and not my little light box. Bam. So now we're in a crop. Great. So from here, I'll go to my tone curve. You can do this one of two ways. First way is to take your mixed tone curve, which takes your RGB values linked together. And you can invert this by taking the white point and pushing it down, and taking the black point and pushing it up. Now we're inverted, right? When you just invert the curve directly, you'll get a very soft looking image because you're taking those black points and white points and you're not in the dynamic range of the actual photo. To circumvent this, what you'll do is you'll take the ends of your image and you'll condense these white points and black points to where the dynamic range of the image originally was. So about there. Great. Now that we're here, we can come up to where we're gonna have to make our manual adjustments. Our manual adjustments for this will be our white balance, tint, and contrast. So for our temperature, please keep in mind that all of these handles will be inverted since we're working in a negative space, essentially. So if I push my temperature to colder tones, it'll actually make the image warmer. See? So now, I know that this is a lot warmer than what I'm seeing. So I'm gonna warm it up a bit. And I'm going to take a little bit of that magenta cast away. So this could be our first version of this negative, right? So I'm going to make a virtual copy. Now let's try this in a little bit of a different method. So I'm going to reset this again. And I'm going to start off the same way. I'm going to take our white balance, sample the edge, and then crop again. Bam. Now, where I'm going to go about this a little bit differently is instead of taking the linked curves, I'm going to go individually through our red, green, and blue and do the same thing, except target each channel separately. Often I feel like this gives you a little bit more of an authentic kind of feeling to the image. I don't know what it is about separating your channels that gives the color a little bit more density than if you were just to do it all linked, but here is when you do it linked versus when you do it individually, and I have not adjusted any of the white balance or temp and tint in any of these images. I just moved it by hand slightly to get it to where I felt it felt most natural. Whichever method you choose to use, just understand there will be a little bit of finicking involved. I know it feels like cheating because you're technically editing a film negative, but remember back in the day there were timers. There were individuals responsible of pointing in printer lights. So you would go into your printer lights and add a value of 1 red or 2 red, 3 red. The reason I was drawn to film is because it's a more tangible process. You know, you're a lot more involved with the photos you take, and the memories aren't instant. You have to kind of work for them. So it makes you feel a little bit closer to them. Thank you for joining me in my home developing and scanning process. This is one of the first times I went through this process in full, and I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed watching, and it gave you a different perspective in just imagery.